What's going on, everybody? Good Sunday afternoon. The majority of our football action is over. Just finished up watching Red Zone. Just finished doing a real fun Red Zone stream. Haven't done one of those in a while. And obviously, the Seahawks were not playing today. Obviously, the Seahawks were taking their bye week. So, in lieu of watching the Seahawks and hoping they win, us Seahawks fans were sitting here trying to find other games to have an interest in. And there was plenty of reasons to have interest. Plenty of reasons to have interest across the league. And some games went our way, some games didn't. More on that, I think Tuesday, actually. But I want to just take this video to talk about this game in particular because this was probably the most compelling one. And it's the game that most Seahawks fans are going to be talking about because we don't have a Seahawks game to talk about. So now that it's happened, I want to talk about what went down, and I want to talk about what it means, the repercussions, the ramifications. What does this mean for the Seattle Seahawks? Well, it means wonderful things, guys. Cha-ching. The jackpot is officially pouring out onto our lap from the slot machine. We've been anticipating it for a while now. We've known it was probably coming, but we are now officially in range of all of our dreams coming true. So the Broncos lose at home to the Raiders. 22-16 in overtime. Their offense looks a little smoother, has a little more success, puts up about 320 yards of offense. Decent day, no turnovers. But still only manages 16 points. Should have been 19 if not for the blocked field goal. I get that. But it's still not really putting things up on the scoreboard. They managed 16 points, which was basically their per-game average before this game started. So even with a new play caller, things look roughly the same. Wilson was able to be a little bit more high percentage with his throws. He did actually find some moments of success in this game throwing to Sutton and Hinton. But for the most part, same basic results. And on defense, yes, they hold the Raiders to 16 regulation time points, but they completely break down in overtime, giving up the wide open 35-yarder to the only really good receiver on this Raiders team right now. They give up 300 yards to Carr, 100 yards to Josh Jacobs, and 140 yards to Devontae Adams. That's not what you're looking for if you're a fan of this Denver team. Obviously, on defense, not good enough. And they are now 3-7. And what's more than the fact that they are 3-7, we can now pretty safely conclude that there isn't really a whole lot this Broncos team is going to be able to do to change anything. They got 7 games left. They tried switching the play caller to Kubiak, and the results maybe a hair different, but in terms of end result, they basically got the exact same thing. They still can't score. I think they were averaging 15 points a game coming in, actually. Now they got 16, so you're not really going to move people with the extra point per game. They still can't really run the ball. They mounted a decent running game at points in this one, but overall still not good. And now their defense, after looking at the last 2 drives for the Raiders where they hit those big plays to kick the game-tying field goal and then get the touchdown, you have to wonder if that defense is about ready to call it quits. This was probably one of their worst games of the year, given the fact that they were playing the Raiders with no Hunter Renfrow and no Darren Waller. Like, that should be easy pickings for your defense, and it didn't happen. You didn't get any turnovers. You didn't do a good job just stopping general moving of the ball. The worst thing the Raiders did in this game was all the offensive penalties, taking them out of otherwise score favorable drives. So honestly, you're lucky it wasn't a little bit worse. So 3-7 for Denver, and for one, we now currently sit in a very fortuitous situation, just without any caveats about what happens the rest of the way. Denver's pick currently sits at number 5 overall. We are now top 5. We have broken into the top 5. We've been dancing around in that 10-6 range for a little while now. We've been flirting with maybe 11 or 12. And we've been sitting there thinking like, okay, I think this Denver team is going to keep losing. I think we're going to get a top 5 pick. But now, for the moment, we actually hold that top 5 pick. And because Denver's strength of schedule is, for the moment, relatively weak and won't get that much stronger the rest of the way, although it'll get a little stronger, we're very likely to be hanging around at the top going forward as long as the Broncos keep losing. But before I get into that, I just want to stress that it's finally happened. The Denver pick has broken into the top 5, and with the remaining Broncos schedule, there's no reason to believe this pick is going to go down. This pick is likely to go up. They are ahead of the Raiders in the draft pickings by a tiebreaker, right? If the Raiders win one more game, very good chance Denver ends up picking ahead of them. The Bears are frisky. All right, the Bears probably have a win or two in them. The Panthers play the Broncos head-to-head next week. In fact, let's go take a look at that real quick. Just to remind people, the remaining schedule for the Broncos, today was their best chance to scrape a win. They're playing the Raiders at home, having already lost to the Raiders this year with no Hunter Renfrow, no Darren Waller. They have one of the worst defenses in the league. This should be a game where you offensively get right and score enough points to win. Didn't happen. So now you have 7 remaining games, and you are going to be underdogs in all of them, I believe. You've got at Carolina. You're going to go cross-country next week, play in the early slot. You might have a new head coach by then. I don't know. That's going to be the fun theater tomorrow. Does Nathaniel Hackett get the axe for this terrible start to the season? I'm personally suspecting they won't do it, but it's on the table. It's a possibility. And you certainly can't say they would be wrong for doing it. But you're going to Carolina. They've got a really good defense. Even if you win this game, you know Wilson's going to be in a lot of pain after this one's over. And frankly, I think this one's another coin flip. I think it's going to be like 6-3 at the end. And whoever ends up winning the game is just going to be kind of determined by random luck. You've got at Baltimore, another East Coast game. Baltimore, they're not playing great this year, but they're a lot better than Denver. You've got home against Kansas City, Sunday night. You've got home against Arizona. Now, Arizona's not playing great this year, but they're decent. They do some things well. That's not a team that's going to just give away everything to you. They're not a team that's going to make it super easy for you. You got on the road against the Rams. The Rams are not playing well. At this point, they may not have Stafford. He got hurt today. But look, this Denver team can't score on anybody. So why would I expect them to suddenly be able to score against a Rams defense that has some real weaknesses, but only good offenses can take advantage of? And then you've got road against Kansas City, and then you've got a home game against LA, who by then should be much healthier. They're going to have Rashawn Slater back. And yeah, they're going to be underdogs in every game they play, I think. And I'm kind of at the point now where I have to say I expect them to lose every game they play the rest of the way. I think they are going 3-14. I could see them beating Carolina. To me, that game is kind of 50-50. But traveling to Carolina and dealing with that defense, especially if you have to deal with P.J. Walker, that's a lot to ask. And we saw the cracks in this Denver defense start to form in this Raiders game. So straight up, this week, we already talked about how this week against the Raiders was a big game for this Denver pick. They lost, so I now feel very confident we're picking in the top 6 with that Denver pick. If they lose next week to Carolina, I will be confident we're getting a top 3 pick. So those are the stakes. Fun day today. Got the result we wanted. See you guys later. Go Hawks, and keeps getting better and better, don't it?